Hey, my handsome ladies and gentlemen, this is Shmeaty, and in today's video, no, your eyes are not deceiving you. That is indeed a Shadow Blaziken being played in a limited Great League format, and there's very good reason as to why you've never seen Shadow Blaziken in a limited Great League format. And that very good reason is because it is not good. In a cup filled with Charjabug, Vigoroth, and Ferrothorn, unfortunately I was only able to manage a 5-5 run with this Pokemon. It is terribly frail, and I would not recommend it at all, but I will say it was a lot of fun to run. Now let's me and you not beat around the bush. You clicked on this video featuring the spicy chicken because you wanted to see the spicy chicken go boom. And boom will go the spicy chicken. If you find enjoyment in today's video, please feel free to leave it a like and subscribe so that these videos can reach more people. Without keeping it too long, let's get into the matches. Game number 1, and Spicy Chicken's gonna find a Swampert on lead. I swear, dude, I'm not a believer in the algorithm or anything, but my Blaziken was an absolute magnet to mud boys and water types, dude. It was not fun. Anyway, we bring in the Quagsire and attempt to outpace the Swampert. Of course, we're going to be able to, as Swampert's pacing is 5-4 and Quag's pacing is just 4. So they're going to Hydro Cannon me. I no shield, which is, now thinking about it, a really bad play. Me no shielding that Hydro Cannon just allows this Vigoroth to come in and farm my Quagsire all the way down without even using a shield. That's really bad stuff for me. I'm going to come in with my Blaziken and just try to farm this Vigoroth down in retaliation. They body slam. It does about 70% to my Blaziken, but I am going to be able to reach a Fire Punch here. And I do get the shield, as that actually would have KO'd the Swampert, so it's smart of them to commit the shield. They are going to try to use this energy to neutralize my Charjabug here, but I'm just more than happy to put up 2 shields, especially if they're going to throw on alignment each time. Hydro Cannon gets the shield, and we're just going to keep spamming X-Scissor. X-Scissor number 1 going to land onto this Charjabug. X-Scissor number 2 probably going to get a shield, and it's a CMP tie. As you may have seen at the start, I run an attack-weighted Charjabug very intentionally for situations like this limited meta as well. Certain brands of attack-weighted Charjabug can win CMP over Vigoroth, and they're oftentimes in limited metas together. They're going to fire off another X-Scissor, and it gets caught onto the Blaziken. That's going to KO, and they do not want to play anymore. They've wasted all their energy. GG's. Now, logic would dictate that this next lead is probably a good one, right? But it actually isn't. The opponent seems to not know that fact, and they safe switch a Talonflame, which is a sentence I was hoping I didn't have to say today. Nevertheless, they do smartly no-shield an Aqua Tail, knowing that I needed to build up to a Stone Edge to threaten a KO. They're going to fly, and I'm just going to make another Aqua Tail here and threaten a shield. I don't really care at this point about my Quagsire. I'm really looking at the prospect of just farming this down with Blaziken from this range. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to let that Flame Charge go and just bring in Blaziken for a 3-counter running head start. Alright, now check this out. They're going to bring in a Vigoroth into my Blaziken, as they can't bring in the Charjabug because I have an energy lead. But this is even worse for them, as I found out Shadow Blaziken can one-shield farm Vigoroth all the way down, as the counters do 10% each, meaning 10 counters KO. I get to a Blaze Kick, I fire off the Blaze Kick, and now I'm firing off this Brave Bird. The opponent still has a shield, but the Brave Bird gets no-shielded and does like 90%. GG's. At this point, I was actually convinced that my Blaziken was allergic to picking up a good lead, so I'm glad that it did there. But they are going to immediately safe switch into a Skeledirge from their Abomasnow, and I just have the perfect response to a Skeledirge in my Quagsire. I get the shield call correct, and I shield up a Shadow Ball. I had a feeling, and they had a lot of incentive to send the Shadow Ball there. So they are going to let my Aqua Tail through. I'm going to build up 6 Mud Shots and intentionally CMP here. I know that if they throw a move here, this cannot be an Energy Ball. It's only an Icy Wind, and so I'm going to Stone Edge this Abomasnow. They're going to shield, even though I'm debuffed. I make another Stone Edge, and this Abomasnow, we are just putting them in a very compromising position. They're very low. In the back is a Lantern, and Lantern might not think that it had to shield anything from a Blaziken, but we're going to show them something different. The Brave Bird does nearly all of the Lantern's HP, and now it's a CMP tied to the Surf, but I wanted to die there anyway. I've got the Charjabug ready for the lantern. The opponent says no more smoke for me. GG's. Wow, big surprise. My fire type's going to find another bug type on lead, and it's not going to be a very good lead for it. I'm going to immediately bring in my Quagsire here, go for the Aqua Tail, and just to try to get some damage off on the very classy Beedrill. They're going to fire off a move here, and it is going to be an X-Scissor, but this X-Scissor doesn't feel like an X-Scissor. That damage was disgusting. Nevertheless, they're going to shield up my second Aqua Tail to bring in a Lapras. I'm looking to try to make the Stone Edge, but unfortunately that's only 5 one-shots. This trainer tells me to get my bait called and that I'm a loser. And now I had a decision to make, but I'm just going to bring in Charger Bug, as I don't really want to have to commit shields on Surfs from this Lapras. And I don't believe that it was in a range where I could have countered it down. So they are going to fire off one Surf. I'm going to shield the second Surf and finally get the opportunity to throw on good timing. Firing off this X-Scissor, this will definitely KO the Lapras. The Lapras goes down and they're going to bring in a Vigoroth. Vigoroth, I'm just going to fire off this X-Scissor, and if they no shield, I'm going straight into my Blaziken. I want some juicy counter damage on the Vigoroth. Unfortunately, there's no juicy counter damage to be had on this Beedrill. Beedrill, going to fire off an X-Scissor, but I have to shield it up, or so I thought. They're going to Poison Jab me into a very manageable range, and I needed to throw a move. Unfortunately, I don't throw a move. I get Body Slam. My energy gets denied, but I can't make 2 moves on my Charger Bug. 1 for their shield, 1 to KO. They're going to pick up the dub with a Body Slam. GG's. Alright, remember when I was a Mud Boy Magnet? Well, I'm a Mud Boy Magnet again. Here comes a Swampert, and this one's Shadow. So I had a bit of an interesting idea to just try to catch a Hydro Cannon. Not really sure why I did this, by the way. I'm pretty sure Charger Bug's a little more useful than this. But nevertheless, I'm going to fire off this Discharge, and they are going to be able to get off 3 Incinerates, and they have a head start on me, but I just bring in my Quag, and now I'm thinking to myself, you know what, 2 shield Blaziken, go burr. So I'm going to fire off this Aqua Tail. They are actually in Aqua Tail range at this point. Aqua Tail will pick up a shield, and here, I don't think this is manageable for my Blaziken, so I'm going to put up another shield, and I'm just going to do 2 more Mud Shots and Aqua Tail this once again. Aqua Tail will KO, and they have a Cradlean back, and they have no shields versus a Blaziken. The cardinal sin of not having a shield versus a Blaziken. Blaziken KOs the Swampert with a Fire Punch and is able to reach a Brave Bird versus the Cradilly. Cradilly not going to stand a chance against the Brave Bird. GG's. Old school versus new school fire starters in the next match, and unfortunately Blaziken does not stand a chance versus Skeledirge. But what I am going to do is build up to 7 counters and bait for some reason, and also for some reason the Skeledirge is going to give me a shield. I'm going to switch into my Quagsire and catch what I would only assume would be a Disarming Voice. After seeing all that Incinerate damage onto my Blaziken, I'm sure they've noticed that a Disarming Voice would have been more than enough to KO. They're going to counter my safe switch of the Quagsire perfectly with a Cradily, and unfortunately I'm not in a very good position. Cradily is very low, and I am going to be able to get a farm down on it, but I don't think that'll matter too much. They do have a Rock Slide here, and I am going to be forced to commit a shield. I am going to get the counter down. They bring back in the Skeledirge, and I'm sending it. I'm going straight for the Brave Bird. Unfortunately, they shielded up, so I have no choice but to bring in my Charger Bug, and I'm getting absolutely melted. Not only am I getting melted, but I could have thrown on better timing, and if I did so, that Skeledirge would no longer be with us. I'm making misplay after misplay. The Ferrothorn farming away, getting nearly infinite energy versus my Charger Bug. I'm able to make another X-Scissor here. I'm looking at my Blaziken button. My switch timer's almost coming up. I'm gonna let this through. I need Blaziken for this. Come on, we get the switch. And they're able to make a move. And here I make a game-losing decision. Giving up my shield actually cost me the game, because this Skeledirge is not only carrying a Disarming Voice, but a Shadow Ball as well. And that'll be game over for me. GG's. If you made it to this point in the video, thanks so much for watching. It truly means a lot to me, and I also want to say a big thank you for all the support on my last video. It seems like you guys really like that one. I really like making it, so I hope you guys enjoy this one equally. And on to my final thoughts on Blaziken. Unfortunately, Blaziken's quite frail, and its frailty isn't helped by the fact that its pacing is also really bad. Blaziken's pacing is terrible. It takes 6 counters to get to its bait move and fire punch, and unfortunately, that isn't good pacing when you're in a limited meta with things like Vigoroth that get to a body slam in 5 counters, or Swampert that gets to a Hydra Cannon every 5, then 4 mud shots. And then, of course, the king of the meta, Shadow Quagsire, which gets to a relatively hard-hitting Aqua Tail every 4 mud shots. Shadow Blaziken is unfortunately left in the dust in terms of speed and pacing in this particular meta, and in general. So, unfortunately, a lot of its merit comes from the Shadow counter damage, which I've seen come in handy in a couple matchups. Realistically, you're going to get it onto a Vigoroth, and you're going to be pogging for the meantime, and then every other matchup you're going to be miserable. It comes in handy a couple matchups, but honestly, it's not the best thing. This is definitely just a fun experiment, and it's not to be treated as anything more. Okay, all memes aside, thanks again so much for watching. This has been Shmeaty. I hope to see you guys next time, and have a good rest of your day. Bye.